Good morning, everyone. I have a wonderful homie here. We've actually talked to him before. We're going to talk to him a little bit. We're going to talk to you a little differently today, okay? We're going to talk to you so differently. Welcome Sam from The Others Like Us and from Gnargaritaville and Shadow Money Spell Exchange and just a fuck ton of different things. How's it going, big dog?
Good man, how are you?
I'm doing very good. It is a chilly um, Nashville morning. It's been fucking cold the last few days. I literally
Yeah.
actually I had to bring my outdoor cat inside
Ooh.
because and like kind of held him up in a room because it went down to less than 10 degrees. So I was like, there's no way.
Yeah, it's been brutal over in Tulsa right now. I think yesterday's high was like 13. The low was
Fuck,
like 3.
dude.
It sucked.
It's just bad. It's just so bad. But there are good things on the horizon, like this fucking it's this little thing you do, little thing you've done just for a couple of years. Motherfucking Nargarita. Holy shit.
Yeah.
That new lineup that you've released so far sounds pretty crazy.
Yeah, no, we're super stoked. This is the fourth year of Gnargaritaville. And I surprised myself with how much we're growing each year. And some of the bands that we've been getting. Um, I step back and go, holy shit. Because I still can't believe that like we're playing with like Pet Symmetry is the headliner for night one. We're doing 2 nights this year, which is like the craziest thing to us.
I actually don't even think you've told anybody that it's going to be 2 nights.
Yeah, Nargaritaville is like it's a project between me and this guy named Anthony Castleberry who um he books for this venue that Frank and I work at called the Vanguard, and he's the main booker over there, and it's kind of just been a project that we work on, and every year we kind of just say, okay, well, how do we make it bigger? Last year we did 3 different stages, and now we're just gonna do one stage but two nights, and yeah, I don't know. Next year, I what the goal is, I want to try to get it to be like an outdoor festival.
Okay, hell yeah. So with the schedule of that, would the next one be like spring of
It,
2026?
it depends. Um we're really trying to figure out. I mean, we're focusing on this year, so I we have
Yeah. I mean,
like
like, there's a lot of like when it comes to planning and everything like that. Like, I'll never forget talking to a couple of bands um, and these are bigger bands, and I had asked like, how far ahead are your schedules booked?
mhm.
And just for them, it was like the next year, like the next 14 months were already planned and booked. And there's a part of me that is just that kind of freaks me out. Like there's like, is there no room for spontaneity? There's no room for diverging off of any path. And like to think that like there's the thing right in front of me, there's already this arrow set, and I kind of have no control of the situation.
I mean, we've both tried to do the spontaneity thing and I mean, with the others like us at least, the spontaneity thing and the plan a year in advance kind of thing, and it's way more fun to be more spontaneous, and that's
Yeah.
what we've been doing. Like last year, we just kind of would keep getting offered shows, and like we got offered to play with Scott's New Network, and we're
Mhm.
not a ska band, but we were like, okay, yeah, we'll play that. And then right after that was we got offered to go down to Austin for South by Southwest, and we said sure, and we just kept saying yes to all these things. And I think that was way more fun than planning out a year, and not having like a specific like end goal with that, and just being like, we want to play this amount of shows kind of
Mhm.
thing. But with NAR, it's like we give ourselves like maybe a month off after each NAR to just be like decompress, and then we can start talking about next year's. But yeah, I mean, this one we were kind of both really busy. Anthony and I were both really busy. Like I've been touring we were touring and just doing a bunch of shows, and so I hadn't had a lot of time, and so we kind of got started a little bit later. Um booking it. So it's we're kind of a little bit like, all right, we got to get everything done right now so we can make sure it gets announced and make sure it's all ready. But yeah.
So kind of walk me through, um, first of all, like kind of the first one y'all did, and how y'all got connected. Y'all have been just working at that same venue when you started trying to do Nargarita, correct?
So yes, but the first one was at where I actually work now, the coffee shop that I run the kitchen for. That's where the first one was because Anthony was like the head booker at that spot. And they were doing a bunch of DIY shows and I basically Gnargaritaville was just like I wanted to book a birthday show. Um and so I was like, let's get a bunch of friends. And just like bands that I liked at the time that we played a lot with together and just played a sick show. And that turned out really well. And then that venue unfortunately closed down or they stopped doing shows.
Hmm.
Um, so we just moved it over to Vanguard where we both worked at. And it's a much bigger room, but it's allowing us to have like a lot more, um, kind of like kind of allure to some bands that want to play in a larger space, that kind of freedom, and also helps us out with like budgeting. We kind of have the backing of that venue, so that's like been super nice to be like, oh, we can. I don't have to personally worry about the money, because we have the backing of this venue and other people backing and sponsoring us, to kind of get behind the whole thing.
That's actually really, really nice that you have like this. I actually didn't even think about the concept of like, um, you have the backing of this venue
Hmm.
to help with the rates for everyone that's going to be coming and playing. And so do you negotiate that with them, with Vanguard, with the band? Are you the middle person? So you know like what budget you're willing to work with?
Yeah, so that the main budgeting with Vanguard is more on Anthony's side just because he works there and he is way
Sure.
closer to, or like he's a higher position than I am there, so he's more equipped to be dealing with that. But it's basically like he talks to the owner of the Vanguard and the owner will he gave us a budget last year and the year before, to kind of let us play around with, and then from there we can go into, or I get to basically ask whatever bands I want, and then see, what their price would be, or if it's just a bunch of homie bands, then we can get them, um, and be able to make sure that we can pay them out the relatively the same amount.
Mhm.
But yeah, and then once it gets to headlining bands, then that's when Anthony and I kind of have to get together and be like, okay, well, like, are they worth, X amount of dollars? And this is how much we have in the budget. And we have to think about everything else. But it's been real nice being able to, and especially this year, they're kind of like, um, they saw what we did last year with it, and they're like, okay, well, like you can have a little bit more budget, and this is the most money that like we've been given, so it's been super cool, and that's why we're allowed to do 2 days and get some of the bands that we're able to get for this year.
That now last year, like that was kind of an incredible situation. Like getting Harrison Gordon to come, and that was right off the backs of Yuppies. Like that was a really, really like let's before this one even starts, kind of let's go through the last one. The last
Mhm.
one seemed like such a achievement. So first of all, congrats. Like that seemed like a lot of hard work. And it really, really paid off. So kind of let's walk through like the big surprising ups and downs of last year's Gnargaritaville.
So for last year's specifically, kind of the mindset that I had was that I wanted to get every single band that we practically played with in 2023, to come back to, or to at least come to Oklahoma and be like, okay, well, you're on our turf now playing with us. And so that was like super cool. A lot of bands that I thought were going to be a struggle to get were actually really easy. We struggled with getting a headliner for the longest time, and I kept being like, I kept talking to Anthony. I was like, dude, Harrison Gordon, they're great. They're popping up right now. They're gonna be the next big thing. Um, and he was like, just like, do you have their contacts? And I was like, we just played with them, back in like April. So I was like, I can just DM him, and like 100%, he was just like, yeah, sure, we'll come down and do like, I think they did like just a one-off show, maybe even like two shows on a weekend, or just coming down and doing this. And
Hmm.
it was super surprising. In like 25 minutes, he said yes, and it was um like I was like the luckiest guy at that point, just to be like, oh, that was easy. And it's the classic thing of like people come up to me like, how'd you book this? How'd you book this? And it's just like DM on Instagram asking.
It's just
Easiest
so
thing.
simple, man. Like I feel like that there's like, coming into this scene and coming into like playing shows and booking. I don't like booking just because it's like I'd rather just DM. There's an
Mhm.
email thing that you are told to do, and I'm just like, I feel like no one cares except for people that are like professional booking people, like at a very
Right.
specific level. And where, there's parts at our level which is completely acceptable to just like DM and be like, listen, motherfucker, I want you to play this show. Come hang out. I'll buy you a couple of drinks, and then it's just like, okay, cool, fucking
Yeah.
done. Like it's
Yeah.
super simple.
It's
There's so
so
much no fear about it.
Oh, it's so yeah, and that's the best part. Unless if you're talking to bands that have agents, which a lot of bands kind like that we've been wanting to get are with agents now, and so it's been harder to be like, okay, well, I can't DM you, so I have
Hmm.
to go talk to your agent, and that's just a whole other conversation and bargaining with that. But it's so nice to just be able to like, I literally for this year's Gnargaritaville, I texted um, I guess I can announce this band because they kind of already announced the tour without saying that they're on Gnar. Um, I texted Kyle from Excuse Me, Who Are You? And I was like, hey, bud, you guys missed last year's because their guitarist was graduating college. Do you guys want to play this year? And they're like, yes, it's Tiny Voices playing. And I was like, yep, they are. Do you want to do an Enswell set as well? And they're like, absolutely. Like, if we can make that happen, we can. And I was like, okay, Emway, Enswell, Tiny Voices.
Yo, that's fucking crazy, and that's perfect because whenever Tiny Voices and Mway are together, they can just Voltron together to form Enswell. So
Right.
that's fucking crazy.
I would have to look at the schedule. I don't know off the top of my head, but I think that we're trying to do like a whole hour of just like Tiny Voices or like Emway, Tiny Voices ends well, like all just like in the span of like an hour or an hour and a half.
That's crazy. I think that
Oh,
it's going to be
yeah.
really exciting. What a crazy time. There's when it comes to like uh the people that you were shooting for, what would you say in comparison from last year to this year? Did you feel like that like last year went so well that you feel like you could like kind of reach for the stars a little bit here?
Yeah, there is definitely a lot of more bands that I didn't think would be interested or would kind of be out of our realm of grasp to get until like this year. Like we got Pet Symmetry, and that was like, talk. Anthony was like, "Yeah, I'm talking to this guy's to this agent. He's got this band Pet Symmetry. Would you want them?" And I was like, "Oh my God, like that is
Yeah.
listen to them all throughout high school. Like that would be the craziest thing ever." And so that was one of those bands. There's a lot of bands that we kind of just shot our shot. And the best thing for about the biggest lesson that you learn from booking these things is like worst thing people can do is say no.
Yeah.
Um, I've not I I I don't want to start naming names, but like we reached out to like Pup and Joyce Manor and like
Yeah.
these bands that would have been like crazy to get. They're busy, of course, so we can't. And but it was like, the whole thing of like planning like who to ask. It was like a lot of I just made a list of like 100 bands that would have like over 50,000 um monthly listeners on Spotify, and we went down the list. We're like, no, 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 maybe, no, 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 and then just hit up the people that we thought were possible and are
Mhm.
plausible, and mostly no's. But the yeses that we got were super cool. And talking to some agents, we were like able to get this the Tiny Voices and Kerosene Heights and Casper Fight Scene tour package to come along was like super crazy, and we're super excited because I love Casper Fight Scene and Kerosene Heights and Tiny Voices, and they haven't been by in a little bit.
I love that there is a I like that these are like all of our buds. Like I
Yeah.
love that's just the weird thing. Like I was talking to one of my friends from back in Chicago. They were talking to me about that they love this band, Action Adventure,
Mm,
and like kind of like I have no idea what their monthlies are, but it was like 7,500 followers on Twitter, but something. But this is a band that I've had like normal conversations with that I talk to and uh, like love these guys. These guys are great. I'm like, oh yeah, no, I know these homies. They're great. And my buddy was just like, wait, what are you talking about?
right.
This is like my favorite band, and you just talk with them, and it's just that is there's this strange, weird barrier, like barrier between like I don't know, maybe the pedestals we put artists on or something like
Mm.
that when actually they're just homies and they just
Oh
kind
my
of want
God.
to they just want to hang out. So like whenever I always have to have that cognitive weird dissonance between like, oh my God, Enswell, where I'm like, no, these guys are just, the homies that we all
Right.
play Fortnite with. Like it's not that big. It's a big deal, but it's like also this weird thing.
It's just like it's super cool, and like I have all I it's so fun seeing people's reactions to the bands that we announce, and it's just like yeah, with like Enzo, it's like oh, there that's like a really cool big deal, but like we played a basement in Chicago with them in front of like 10 people, so like it's the funniest thing. But yeah, it's the my job is basically I get to ask all my friends if they want to play Gnar, and then which ones will say yes and no, and then we'll just keep moving on. And then uh, for Anthony, it's kind of his job is to get some of the larger bands and talk to the agents because he's got those connections already. Um, yeah, it's super fun just to be like every year be like, I'll like last year I would just go into the Thumbs Up Records Discord and be like,
Mhm.
all right guys, who wants to play Gnar?
Yeah,
I have space for everyone, so if you guys want to come down into Oklahoma, come play and we can do that and make it work out.
I like that there's you guys kind of bookend it where there's like this guy that's, trying to like carve away like these big acts and like
Mm.
he's using like these, using his email skills and connection skills to like, do play headliner. And then you are like basically kind of corralling all of the rest of us being like,
Yeah,
hey, who wants to come follow me? Come follow me
yeah,
over
it's just like
here.
yeah, and then this year it's just like we have to with the larger budget, it's like well we got to make sure people can draw. So Anthony's just like I'll be like here's all my friends, and Anthony's like okay, well they actually bring
Yeah.
people in, and then when I like half of them I'm like no, but like it still would be super fun to have them come
Yeah.
through, and so I do have a couple of bands that like haven't played Oklahoma once, or I've never played Oklahoma and haven't. So like I don't know how big their draw would be, but it's more of like they're my friends. I want them to play with me, and I want to play with them.
I think that there's like, there are, I feel like in the difference between last year and this year, there's probably going to be more of okay, well, can they draw? Like there's probably would you say the difference between last year and this year is that there's more of a business mindset, specifically more on your end?
Yeah, that's kind of been one of the things I've had to really like that Anthony has been like, okay, you have to like think about this for once. Because like I feel like I kind of just got lucky with the last year's selection, and people in Tulsa wanted to see all these bands. And there's some bands that I know for sure people in Oklahoma are freaking out about. We have more tickets sold pre-sale now than we did for like most of the time we had pre-sales on last year, so that's super cool already. But um, yeah, it's definitely just having the venue give us a lot more of a budget this year is kind of like putting the pressure on of like, okay, is this like this band that we're super tight with? Are they like from Chicago? Are they've only played Oklahoma City once? Are they, like worth it? And I'd say like yes, they're going to be worth it. They're going to fit the bill super well. Will they draw the most? No, but they're gonna be good for the show, and that they're the homies, and so they'll they'll put on extra effort for us, which that is like the coolest part about the whole thing is that like I feel like people with festivals like these, people put a lot more effort into their performances. You know, like no one's gonna half-ass their set.
Hmm. Now, as this thing grows, how in your head, uh, making sure that you try and keep this, first of all, you have a very stressful job with this. It sounds nuts. It sounds like something I would like to participate in at some point when I feel like I could have like the bandwidth to do that. No pun intended. The the but in your head, uh do you find that there is like something that you have to like mentally do, like keep yourself in check, or you want to make sure that this is like a DIY thing, that there's still like this, this is not just some uh baby warped tour thing. This is not just some like business thing. What are you doing to try and make sure that this is still like DIY focused? What are you trying to do to make sure that this is like still grounded?
The big thing I mean I do and what we're trying to focus on I where I'm trying to focus a lot more is trying to make sure that like the local bands will get their time in because like you know it's super cool. We have bands from all over the country. We've got bands from uh uh like Florida coming in for the first time, Texas and Chicago and I think people from the Northeast are coming in and playing, but it's I think super important to make sure that like yeah like Tulsa and Oklahoma City bands are able to get their spot in and it really kind of sucked this year just because of like I was limited to only certain few slots for like local bands and I wanted to put in a lot more of my friends that I see play Tulsa and Oklahoma City. Um, but I try to give them and not, it would be super easy just to hit up all my friends that are in like super successful bands to play, you know, this and try to see if we can get them for a good price. And that sounds so cynical for me. And that's why I want to book bands that like I enjoy, that aren't necessarily going to be the largest band on the bill and, haven't played Oklahoma before, so they don't have a draw. And this would be a cool way to introduce, the scene to, I mean, hell, that's kind of what happened last year with, when we had Anita Velveeta on, is I've had so many people, she played right before we did on main stage and like I had so many people be like, "Oh my God, like I didn't know who she was and she was like my favorite set of the night so far and it was like incredible." And so like I think that it's super cool that we are able to introduce people to bands that they normally wouldn't go out to go see. So that kind of a mindset keeps me in check of being like, "Oh, this is super cool," but to be able to be like, oh, I can get like Emily and Tiny Voices and Red Sun and, Pet Symmetry on this, but I can also be able to get like bands that normally wouldn't be able to get that spotlight and bands that like I really personally enjoy to a wider audience.
I think it's really, really admirable what you're doing, because I feel like it would be really, really hard to like, first of all, you have to think about everybody's schedules, and you have to think about kind of like um as much as when I started doing band stuff and learning about radius clauses and all that stuff, I used to be like, "Oh, fuck that." Like this is such bullshit. But then like after like learning about, and I guess Nashville is a really good place to cut your teeth when it comes to radius stuff, because it's like there's shows all the time. You can't just play Nashville over and over again. No one will be at your shows ever. And there, if you spread yourself too thin by playing too much, no one will come. So was there kind of a moment where where you really wanted to book somebody, but you were like, you're already going to be playing like 2.5 weeks beforehand or a week and a half afterwards, where so you had to be like, no?
Dude, yes. I there wasn't it wasn't bands specifically like I didn't say it to their face, but there's oh man, it's like 2 weeks or a week before. Nar, Trash and Summer Brews are gonna be and Dear Marianne are gonna be in Oklahoma City.
Hmm.
Guys, no, like I wanted to ask you guys, like like those are our friends, and like we're super, like I wanted those guys to come back, but they're not able to, and I think there's like another, there's like another really big show like 2 weeks after NAR that's also in like Oklahoma City or in Tulsa. Um, of bands who I wanted to ask. There's two bands that were definitely like headliners that I'm not allowed to say because those shows aren't announced, but they're gonna be like coming back specifically playing Vanguard in like the summer. And so it's just like, guys, can you push your like can we push this back? Like, can you come in like April instead of middle of summer? But obviously that's not how that works. And they these all these guys have agents and um it stinks, but it's something that you just can't take too personally.
No,
Uh,
I think that makes sense because it's like, and that's exactly how I feel about it. It's like, ah, it stinks. Like it's just like it's like I feel a little cartoony about it, where
yeah,
it's just like this. Oh darn, I can't get this band that I really like, even though I've got all these other cool band like booking and playing shows and creating audiences and doing this whole thing is already weird enough. And
right.
at the level that you're doing it at, like, I bet it's even weirder because you have to do like, so many people and
Mhm.
everyone's at different weird levels of success. And everyone is still like the homie. And like, so having those moments of like, well, I'll just see you later then.
Right,
It's and that's like how just like simple it is, even though it's affecting possibly hundreds of audience members. But like that moment of you just asking a person like, "Oh, you can't? You're gonna be then? Okay, well, I'll see you later then," and that just
right.
weirdly affecting lots of people.
Yeah, that was like one of the people I wanted to really ask was to headline because I thought it would be super cool. They don't play Oklahoma that much anymore as Ben Quad, and
Hmm.
uh I hit them up and they're like, ah, no, sorry, we're gonna be in, I think it was like California with Free Throw and Harrison Gordon. I was like, ah, damn, well,
Yeah.
stink. Uh,
That's
no,
yeah, that stinks. You got
yeah, it's like, I was like, shucks, but
Pete
there's
you
nothing I can
guys.
do about it.
Yeah, it's a really really strange situation. Shout out them for having like the come up of a really crazy time and
They're killing it.
what a
Oh man,
tour to be on.
I can't
Uh
be proud of the Ben Quad boys.
yeah, their rise to fame and is on the it's started in Oklahoma roots. It's so cool to see it.
Yeah,
They're literally like the Oklahoma band.
yeah,
1,000,000%. That tour is also really really crazy.
it's a
I'm
sick dude.
Yeah, catch me at that show in Nashville, like seeing Harrison and specifically seeing Ben Quad again. I will say, seeing Ben Quad at the Wax Bodega tour,
Mhm.
that Nashville show, I just feel like was just really, really legendary. I'll have to find this video from it. It was just what a crazy tour. If anyone caught that tour, everyone knows what I'm talking about. Like that tour was just crazy. But outside of that. Um, so it's just really, really exciting to see like kind of how everything is going to come to fruition. Let's kind of talk about like let's get into specifics. When is Nargarita? Let's get some prices down. Let's make sure I'll have a bunch of links available, but let's kind of walk through like these specific details.
Yeah, Gnargaritaville is going to be April 12th and April 13th, both in Tulsa, Oklahoma, at the at Vanguard. Uh, and I am distracted right now because I'm pulling up the prices. I don't know.
Yeah.
I should know that off the top of my head, but I know that we've talked about a few different price points. So
Yes.
um I one of the things is I want it to be super affordable, and I think that we were actually charging. Anthony has sat me down and has talked to me. And he's like, "Hey, we're charging a little bit too little compared to um like Coachella or say like any other of the just DIY um kind of festivals right now. But I, right now we have the weekend pass like early bird tickets on sale for 45 bucks, and I think it's 56 after taxes and whatever.
That's pretty
Um,
reasonable. That's pretty fucking
two
reasonable for
days.
2 days.
2 days. I know. I was like, I wanted it to be less, but Anthony was just like, dude, we gotta make money. Like,
Hmm.
and so he sat me down and was like, that's cute. You want to keep it DIY and keep it as cheap as possible, but like, we have a big budget this year and we're spending a lot of it. So I was like, okay, yeah, I guess we'll charge 45 bucks.
There's this kind of thing where you have to like, you know, you have to shut off that ground roots aspect of it
Right.
and have to then understand the reality of this situation, which is I feel like Madison James needs to be talking about this kind of stuff because he would just be like, "Fine, we'll just go to this basement that I know of, and I'll just let everybody in."
Right. Yeah, I had the when I started out doing DIY bands, I had the Jeff Rosenstock ethos of like I want to play to everyone, and it sucks having to turn people away. So I would make tickets like 10 bucks, and it's always all ages, and that's kind of like in recent times I've been okay with tickets being 15 or 20 bucks, but it's definitely like it's something I've had to like start being like, oh well, we're worth more, and we should like the other guys in my band need to get paid more, so we should probably
Yeah.
start charging more kind of thing. But
All I know is that I'm really excited. I think that Gnargarita is going to be, a hell of a fucking 2 day event.
yeah,
Congratulations. It's officially evolved. Like it's very like it's Charmander, then Charmeleon, then Charizard. This is like the first part of like your Charmeleon phase going to two
right. I think
days.
definitely like if there was like a pre evolution to Charmander, I feel like that's year two, and then year three is last year. I feel like that's definitely like okay, that's Charmander. That's what I
Yeah.
want. I want that
Yes.
at the base of like we had three stages, um, 20 something. I think it was like 27 bands played, had battle sets and all that stuff. And then this year is like okay, this is gonna be our Charmeleon. Hopefully, we can start doing more 2 day events and next year I kind of want to do like combination of like 2 day event, but then also like have more stages.
Hmm.
I know that it's not announced because mainly we haven't like finished booking it. But we're gonna have after parties for both nights, and um, there's I think I actually I won't say because I don't know off the top of my head, but we're gonna probably have it at a venue next door, um, and just have like as soon as like the last band finishes up at Vanguard, we'll have this like kind of after show start where everyone can just kind of party and hang out for the rest of the night.
Fuck yeah, man. It sounds
Yeah.
like this is, this is a professional ass event, man. Like that this is fucking awesome.
We're trying. Oh, we had to do a meeting with the city of Tulsa to get funding and get permission and do all that stuff, which was like really scary to be like, oh, we have to go talk to our city and
Did you
like
have to like dress up and like go to the courthouse or something and
I was
like
lucky enough that I was busy with my day job, so I sent Anthony to go talk to them because I think that would have also just been a meeting where I would just have just sat there and that said nothing because I was too
yeah.
nervous to talk to city officials.
Well, listen, everyone, I'm gonna have a link to the whole thing. This is really, really sick. I think I'm gonna try and find some time to come down and just fucking hang out for a couple days because uh,
Hell yeah,
the
please do.
those places, it's super admirable what you're doing. This is a really, really cool fest. This was like the first like big fest that I heard of, like when it was announced like a year and a half ago for Gnargarito 3, which is crazy to think that that's when Gnargarito 3 was announced. And just really, really wild time. So everyone go get fucking tickets for this. It's gonna be so sick. Sam, you are the best, and we'll talk to you soon, okay, big dog?
Coach Christie.
All right, see ya.